January 6th House Committee member, Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. So Trump was taken off Twitter in the first place for inciting the violent insurrection against the Capitol. You're a member of the committee investigating the insurrection. What do you make of Elon Musk reinstating Donald Trump?
Well, look, I mean, I get that people are on all sides of this debate. The fact that he did it with a poll of which, however many percent of those could have been bots that aren't real people voting in that. Secondarily, I don't know if, that decision should be made by some poll. I mean, what happened, if remember specifically when this was all done, so not only was he lighting and accelerating the fire on January 6th, also before January 6th with his conspiracies, at the end of the day, he said, this is what you get when a victory is so unceremoniously basically taken away from the American people. So not only when it was done did he have any remorse, he said, well, of course you guys had an insurrection because that's what you get when you steal an election. I mean, I remember seeing that specific tweet and just being outraged at how after all this is done, can you still do that? And so now this idea that he's going to come on and be reformed, everybody knows he won't. And by the way, I'll say as a quick aside, the person probably the most upset today is Devin Nunes because this is going to tank Truth Social if he does in fact leave.
On Friday, Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed a special counsel to oversee the investigations into Donald Trump's handling of classified documents, as well as the one looking at his role in the January 6th insurrection. You have expressed frustration with the Justice Department's approach to Trump in the past. Do you think this is the right move?
I'm going to have to leave that to the experts to decide if this was the right thing, because I don't know where the Justice Department is in their investigation. Let's say, for instance, they were very close to indictment, and then they switch to this because he's running for office, then I think that's an unnecessary delay. But then again, if we're trying to do the best we can to take politics out of it, first off, there are a lot of people that will never be satisfied that there's no politics because that's how they frankly raise money, is to convince people that there's some conspiracy out there. But I think what we're going to be able to judge us by is what the ultimate outcome is. Will this special prosecutor get to, or independent counsel get to a belief that he was guilty or not? Will be based on the evidence and what'll be the result of Donald Trump. But look, if the former president thinks that just by simply announcing he's running for president, he can obstruct justice, I mean, that would be a bad precedent, of course, because then anybody that's under investigation could just announce they're running for president in this country.
The January 6th committee is going to wrap up its work by the end of the year, and it seems likely you'll have to do so without hearing from former Vice President Mike Pence. Here's what he told me about that a few days ago.
Congress has no right to my testimony. The very notion of a committee on Congress summoning a vice president to speak about deliberations that took place at the White House, I think would violate that separation of powers.
Now, of course, as the committee notes, that did not stop Pence from detailing some of those deliberations and conversations in his new book, So Help Me God. What do you make of what you've heard from Pence this week since rolling out this book?
Look, it's really disappointing. So I think Mike Pence is trying to please two different groups. He's trying to please those that are concerned with Trump and those that really like Donald Trump. And here's something I've learned, Jake, in kind of the last 5 years. You can't please them both. You just have to pick. You have to be committed to whatever you believe truth is and pick that side. So he can't, on the one hand, say that what Donald Trump did was terrible, it was a threat to our democracy, and then say, but Congress has no right to my testimony. Look, I fully believe in the separation of powers, but that was violated on January 6th when the former president launched a mob into the legislative chambers, violated that separation of power. And of course, we have oversight responsibility. We're not subservient to the president in Congress. We are a co-equal branch. The other thing that the vice president said after that was that this is a partisan exercise. And I just want to remind people, it has been a very partisan exercise because the only people we've really interviewed and have testified have all been Republicans. And so, yeah, there have been a ton of Republicans coming in and talking about what the former president did and what he knew. And people may not, fully love what Liz and I are doing if you're a Republican, but guess what? We haven't changed our belief system. A lot of other people have. This is a bipartisan committee doing bipartisan work, and I think, frankly, history will judge this very well.
Before the election, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Republican of Georgia, pledged that, quote, not another penny will go to Ukraine under a Republican-led Congress. What is your response to her? And how worried are you that with this narrow majority, she is going to be newly empowered in the Republican House?
Well, first off, she will be newly empowered, and the fact that she's supporting Kevin McCarthy means that he's made a lot of promises to her. Just trust me, that's how this business works. In terms of the commitment to Ukraine, I mean, she even posted a video the other day of some wounded Ukrainian soldiers and said basically they were being abused and used. Look, when you're her, she's a millionaire. You've never sacrificed for a thing in your life. You've never served anything but yourself and your own goals. I can't expect her to understand what it means to actually defend democracy physically. She can pretend like she knows all she wants. She obviously doesn't. So I think it's going to be a tough fight for Ukraine. I think there's still strong bipartisan support, but I would not be surprised if Kevin McCarthy has to cut deals with Democrats, which is something he needs to keep in mind because he's not going to get 218 votes for everything he wants to pass, including government funding. Because he's got people that'll never vote yes on anything. I've done this business for a while, and I'll tell you, they're just the hope yes, vote no caucus. They vote no on everything, or now they're only going to vote for the most conservative stuff.
What kind of speaker do you think Kevin will be, Kevin McCarthy?
Look, I mean, if you'd asked me 5 years ago, I would have said a pretty good one. Now I think he has cut so many deals with bad people to get to this position that I think he's not going to be a leader at all. I think he'll be completely hostage to kind of the extreme wings of the Republican Party. And I frankly don't think he's going to last very long. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but it's sad to see a man that I think had so much potential just totally sell himself. He's the one that resurrected Donald Trump. The second he went to Mar-a-Lago a week or two after January 6th, he resurrected Donald Trump politically. So he owns everything that Trump says now as a candidate for re-election.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger, Republican of Illinois, thanks so much. Good to see you, sir.
You bet.